Did you guys hear about Mark Cuban investing into our industry? Well, we're here to talk about it. Welcome to TSH News, where I bring you the latest and greatest around the industry. Welcome to TSH News, where I bring you guys the latest and greatest around the industry. I'm your host, Stan Banks, and without further ado, let's jump right into the story. But before we do, I need to know if you guys out there want more stories like this. This is the direction that I want to take the channel on, get into the nitty gritty and some deep conversation about things that's taking place in the industry. But again, it's not a category that will get us a lot of views. But nonetheless, let's start this off. Our guy over at Campus Inc., Steven, and his co-owner, I don't know who that is for some odd reason. I guess I got to do a little bit more research into the business. I don't know if it's a silent partner. He travels around a little bit with Bruce, and I've never seen him with the partner, and he doesn't even show up in his article that I've looked up. So it's quite interesting on that standpoint. A lot of us want investors and partners and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to understand the dynamics of their partnership and how they run their business. But starting off with Campus Inc., they were a service to colleges and college students, allowing them to make money for whatever the case is. They kind of produce merch, stores, and done some different things like that for organizations and universities to brand themselves and make some money, right? So that is kind of like the overall general basis of their company. Now, I think this all took a change, which opened up for this opportunity once the NCAA allowed student athletes to make money. This is an area that I'm very, very passionate about, me being a former college athlete and understanding dynamics and using your likeness and not being able to make money while colleges profit off of you substantially, especially at big schools, right? So thinking about that change is what I think. I could be wrong. Again, I would love to have an interview with my guy, Steven, whenever it's possible. But that allowed for this opportunity to take place because now student athletes can now monetize their likeness, just make money off of being themselves, right? Off of the hard work they put in. They don't have to wait till they get to the league. They can get endorsement deals. They can take opportunities like this, create merch, sell it, brand it up, and be able to provide income to themselves and their families in just different situations. So this was an awesome change, man. I wish I had it when I was playing. Might have went a little bit harder, but nah, I went as hard as I could, all jokes aside. So that is a general basis of Campus Inc. Now, Mark Cuban has come along, invested into Campus Inc., and the story about how this happened is phenomenal, man. First and foremost, I want you guys to go down in the comments and let me know if you even thought this was possible, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't know much about raising capital and angel investments. I hear about it. I've listened to some of the things. I watch Shark Tank. You guys know Mark Cuban's on Shark Tank, but I didn't think maybe like a screen print business would be something that would be an idea that could get funded. Maybe he went on Shark Tank and would have got denied, but in the way that this happened, it was like meant to happen because I had a conversation that I'm gonna get into after I tell you guys a little bit. So let me jump into the story. So Campus Inc. is ready to expand. They've had consistent growth, and this is according to him. I'll link a full interview. You can hear this from his mouth. I'll give you guys the summarization, and hopefully we'll get to interview him at some point in the near future here. So Campus Inc. is growing year over year, year over year. This change happens, and they see a huge potential. They open up a store with Illinois basketball, the locker room, or whatever the case is called, and they produce around 70K worth of stuff, and they see a huge opportunity to grow their business, expand their business into somewhat of a new market. Okay, and now this becomes very, very interesting because as he's looking around, he's trying to understand how to grow the business and different things that he needs to do, and it was told to him that he needed to raise capital, and so he starts to kind of like get around people who've grown businesses and who's raised capital and trying to figure this stuff out. And he heard a story about somebody cold emailing Mark Cuban and actually getting Mark Cuban to invest. So what does he do? He takes an opportunity to put together a email, and Mark Cuban's out here apparently open and able to freely have his company, his email and all of that stuff. And his team says he checks him. So he sends this email. He doesn't even ask him for anything. He just tells him about the business and the opportunity that he sees. Again, I'll link the description down below up with the interview. You can hear kind of more. Hopefully he will grace us on our channel the next time we happen to be in his presence. And So he sends this email basically saying, hey, Run Campus Inc., here's the opportunity that I see. And he didn't ask for anything. And this became something that was like a joked upon because Mark Cuban immediately responds, maybe a couple minutes or the next day or something. He opened it within 10 minutes. And then the next day or whatever the case is, he responded and said he didn't ask for anything. And that was kind of like the funny thing, you're pitching yourself, but then you forget to go in for the kill, right? Jab, 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 jab. He forgot the right hook at the end in the terms of Gary Vee. But nonetheless, he put this email out and Mark Cuban checks it and he responds. And they go back and forth. He throws some numbers out. Bada boom, bada bang. They agree on some numbers. It becomes a negotiation. And then Mark Cuban says, let's do it. So he passes it on through his team. His team goes and does the due diligence and all this stuff. And it finally falls through. About 3 months after this initial contact, it happens that Mark Cuban actually invests, right? So now that you have an investment, and he kind of goes into what all of this means, but let's stop right here and just talk about the fact that I sent the message out, hey man, did you hear about this story? Just having some general conversations with some higher up in the industry. And he said, yeah, man, he really threw a Hail Mary. And I said, I see the Hail Mary in this, but nothing's more important than the work that went into it. Because if you know what a Hail Mary is, it's basically at the end of the game or end of the half, you throw up a ball, you throw it to the end zone, and hopefully you're in strike it. Your team catches and scores a touchdown on that play, and then you propel yourself forward to win the game. But I think the important lesson in what it is that I'm talking about right here is the work that was already done, right? He already found his niche. He already got into a lane. He already did all of this stuff. And now when he sent this email, he was prepared for what might happen on the backside. The whole thing about a Hail Mary is you got to be in the position to win the game or to be in position to, get ahead at the half to even take the opportunity. Think about a Hail Mary at the end of the game. You got to be within, 7, 8 points. Within 8 points to actually throw the Hail Mary, or it's kind of pointless, right? And there's different scenarios and stuff, but in the general basis of a Hail Mary, you got to be in position to win the game. And I'm admiring the fact that the work that he did, he doesn't know that the NCAA is going to change the rule where he can monetize or help athletes monetize their likeness and their brand of themselves. But because he already carved out a lane, this change happens, and now a whole new opportunity opens up for him that he can run and jump into. Okay, so the key here is to do the work that you need to do. Understand your business, grow your business, find your demographic, your target market. Man, there's a lot of different lanes, a lot of different segments that you can jump into, that you can be into. A lot of us are out here trying to chase behind what we see somebody else doing, and we're missing a huge opportunity in ourselves to be able to really own a niche because it's something that we're interested in. In this case, for him, student athletes, man, I'm looking at this like, man, this is a pretty dope idea, man. Hey, how can HBCU schools benefit off of something like this? And this is a conversation that I would like to have with him because, that's something that's important to me because it's like, a few different market segments and stuff like that. But it's really, really interesting to have this conversation. The next piece is the growth of a business. So Mark Cuban is what they call an angel investor, which means he's willing to accept a certain amount of risk. And he's not necessarily not trying to return an investment, but basically he's willing to accept more risk than normal in this case, right? Sees the opportunity. It's kind of like a personal pet project. Mark Cuban's invested in hundreds and hundreds. He has to send them a weekly update, maybe 300 something businesses a year. And, he worked with his team and all of this stuff that, it's pretty cool to see in our space and in our industry as to what is possible. And there's some other things going on around the industry as well that I'm going to talk about in future. If you guys like this segment of what it is that we're going after with this news segment, let me know down in the comments below, because like I said, I want to talk about this more and more, and I want to go into some of these other issues that aren't really kind of like the surface level how-to video types of segments in our industry. As I travel around, I get to be more exposed. So the last piece I want to talk about is the growth and where this is headed. So in this interview, he talks about where this is headed and what he has to do. And he basically comes down to the point that it's about people, right? At this point, given moment where he is, it is all about the people that he hires. He needs to grow this business, and he has people around him. I forgot how many employees exactly, but he has some employees, and now he needs to put some really, really high level employees in the position to manage and run and to scale this growth up to make this investment pan out and be what it is that he wants it to be. And he's learning, right? And he's going to others, seek mentors, going to other people, going to other shops and learning about these opportunities and trying to scale and figure out what it is that he needs to do and building out an organizational chart. And I'm at that point in my business where I need to hire out and I need to bring people in to take on different roles. And he talked about building out his org chart and what it should look like and hiring people in these roles. But if nobody's available at this current moment, he has to insert himself into different roles in his org chart. He'll just have multiple things that he needs to do. It's going to spread himself thin, but it's a sacrifice that he has to make right now as he's growing this thing out and building it out in order to grow this thing into what he wants it to be and hopefully replace himself with people. Okay, so as we talk about how much is it costing you not to do things instead of how much it's costing you to do things, you got to change your mindset and perspective and understand that the easiest way to get yourself out of the business is to pay yourself for the work that you're doing, right? You pay yourself for the work that you're doing, and then you can take yourself out of that and pay an employee, right? You got to pay yourself a fair wage. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this. I would love to have a conversation with you guys down in the description below. This is a great thing for our industry, I think, man, just to see it, just to know what's possible. This may spark the mind of somebody else with the next great idea to go ahead and take that thing to the next level, get some funding and do some different things like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This has been TSH News, where I bring you guys the latest and greatest around the industry. I'm your host, Stan Banks. Hope you enjoy. Meet me in the comments. Peace.